When you compare antioxidants and resveratrol against traditional drugs, you probably have great experiences in terms of your clients having issues with the traditional drugs. And it seems like you may not have as many side effects from this. Is that kind of what you found through time too?
Well, to be specific, let's say you take antioxidants like vitamin C, vitamin C and vitamin E are considered antioxidant, but there's been some studies to suggest that they have not been as beneficial as originally thought. But the antioxidant power of the antioxidants mentioned in the book are at a much higher level. So maybe the vitamin C and vitamin E didn't have the degree of antioxidant activity necessary. That's just my own personal theory, but it's something that in the lab that has been noticed. Certainly, putting all these antioxidants together and working in synergy imitates what you get in the red wine. So maybe it's the synergistic effects of different antioxidants that I mentioned in this book that has the beneficial effects, as opposed to taking this particular one pill or that particular one pill. It's maybe the combination of the 5 ingredients that I mentioned that has the beneficial effects.
There's a chapter in this book that I thought was fascinating. You mentioned oxidation, but according to your book, you write that 2 root causes of all chronic diseases are inflammation and oxidation. I'm over 40, so I'm starting to understand and recognize what inflammation, all the different things that cause it. Could you speak to that about, how resveratrol and antioxidants affect inflammation?
Well, when you have illnesses that, like say, bacterial, viral infections that can certainly create an inflammatory-like effect as your body goes to fight off these diseases, and not necessarily. And we don't even have to be truly sick from them, but we're just exposed to things. So we have to. Our body has to fight diseases. It's a normal immune response that we have to have to some extent. Otherwise, we will be overwhelmed by them. But as the body is doing its duty, fighting off things, fighting off different invaders, we'll say, there is reactions that occur, and this reaction creates white cells that have to come to the area. That this type of activity creates oxidative type effects that if not kept in check can lead to damage. The inflammation is where the cells are going in there and attacking. You have white cells that put out different chemicals that attract more white cells, and you have swelling and redness and these kind of effects. And it can be from infections, it can be from injuries, even certain diseases have inflammatory type of effects. What else? We have even just everyday life, just being exposed to certain toxins, pollutants, and even the foods we eat. Some of the foods that we eat have very negative effects. In fact, trans fats have now been outlawed in New York City. I think in Denmark now they're trying to eliminate all the trans fats from the food. And you're starting to see a groundswell because of what's happened with the trans fat situation. At one time, it was we must lower the fat, we must watch the cholesterol, but when don't eat butter, eat margarine. Margarine was full of trans fats, and a lot of the foods, especially fast foods, they were using high levels of trans fats. Trans fats are easy to store. They have a good taste. They're cheap. So therefore, they became very popular. But here we are avoiding certain types of foods thinking that's going to hurt us, and at the same time, we're taking something else that's even worse.
Well, this is a good point to do a quick break. We're going to go to the finest known facts right now, and we'll come back in a few minutes.
back from our break. Before we went to break, we were interviewing Dr. William Gruss from Boca Raton on his new book, A Cardiologist's Guide to Anti-Aging, Antioxidants, and Resveratrol. And, you know, I want to start right off, jump back in, because there was a chapter in here that I really found fascinating, and you've titled it, Mitochondria, Mighty Disease Fighters Hold the Key to the Fountain of Youth. Explain to me, what, you know, in your chapter, you speak about mitochondria as being really a new science for medicine.
Well, the mitochondria were discovered by electron microscopy, I guess back in the 1950s. We all, at least in biology class, in high school or in science class, whatever, in college, you learned that the cell has mitochondria in it. But the mitochondria is actually where all your metabolism is taking place. Your mitochondria has DNA as well as, just like you think of DNA or the genetic material, excuse me, as genetic material in the nucleus of the cell, the mitochondria also has DNA. And the DNA in the mitochondria are important because a lot of your enzyme reactions are controlled by the genetics in the mitochondria. And so keeping the mitochondria healthy at the cellular level is very important, because when things start to break down at that level, little by little, as it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, you'll start having problems with the organs, which are a combination of all these cells. And as the organs start to have disease on a larger scale, then you get into problems with the body. And so trying to get down to the cellular level and keeping the mitochondria healthy really slows down the aging process. The resveratrol, as well as certain other antioxidants, seem to promote reactions in the mitochondria to help maintain the integrity, the chemical reactions that you want your body to have to maintain youth and slow down the aging process. We find that as people get older, if they ever do not autopsies, if they do, let's say, biopsies on the tissues, you'll find that the concentration of mitochondria decreases with age. In certain disease states, you'll see that the mitochondria are just not as healthy or diminished in numbers. So possibly these antioxidants will help to preserve what you had in your youth.